good.
Okay, it says we're live. Can one of you check? Because I don't want to open another tab on my computer and then have it be like, we're going to freeze.
I just see the thumbnail. It just says waiting for you.
Now,
now it's live. Okay, because sometimes there's normally a little bit of a delay, and sometimes
a 9-second usually.
Yeah, and sometimes when I check, it's like I have to reload 3 times. Where it's like Lori waits 5 seconds and it works. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna let someone else tell me that we're live.
And also, it showed up on my TV as well at almost exactly the same time. It's all good. It's all good. We good.
Yeah,
we are live.
Woohoo!
Welcome to the
Okay,
party.
so let's have my co-hosts introduce themselves. So Glory, JC, Morgan, and then Tom, alphabetical order. And you can say what you think you're going to be working on during this first sprint. Obviously, sometimes we get distracted or we realize we have to do something else. So saying what you're going to work on is not a binding contract. But, I just figured that's an efficient way to do that in your intros. And then people in the chat, lovely to see you. I will say hi to you after my co-hosts have introduced themselves, and you can say what you're working on. So take it away, Glory. I'm not going to make you. I'm not Barrett. I don't do that to people.
There it is here.
Oh, y'all. Okay. I'm Glory. My channel and Twitch stream is Glory Writes the Blues. And we stream throughout the week on YouTube and Twitch. There's a schedule, but anyway, hi everybody. We do stuff. JC.
Oh, hi, I'm JC. I have a channel, author JC Carpenter. I haven't nailed down my intro yet, so one day I'll get there. Morgan.
Me too. I was planning on writing an intro one of these days. But
I can give you a template. I'm the one. I helped Kelly, and then Kelly helped Natalie Locke. So
yeah.
Template is, hi, my name is blank. This is what I write. This is what I create, and you can find me blank. That's it.
I feel like it's a take on the Slim Shady intro, but yes.
The catch is to remembering to say it when you're actually live.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but yeah.
Hello. My name is Morgan Lee. I have a channel here on YouTube. I post every Wednesday and Friday with live streams on Monday morning at 8. And I have a book out. You should buy it. That's it.
Good stuff.
I'm Tom of Tom's Hot Takes. You can mostly find me with my sister Glory on her channel, which is the same as her name, on both YouTube and Twitch. Mostly Mondays on YouTube in the afternoon and Twitch on Wednesday evenings as we figure out what we're going to do for our Monday show and how to describe it to everyone on YouTube. Tonight I am working on lyric/poetry for a concept album involving a fridge and all the, mental trauma, mental baggage involved with the fridge from childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I knew about the lyrics and the fridge because we've been working on it for a few streams, but then you're like, and the mental trauma, and I'm like, oh, that's probably been there the whole time, but I think this is the first time I'm hearing about it.
Does everyone else not have trauma associated with refrigerators from childhood, or just okay?
I just have overall general trauma.
Yeah, just overall trauma.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, trauma, yeah, 100%. But hello, hi.
Doesn't everyone in the middle of the night get a snack from their fridge and go, yeah, this reminds me of growing up?
Okay, really quick, because I'm not a StreamYard expert. How do I turn the camera off real quick? Because I have to go turn something on the oven off.
Okay, sure.
On the stove.
Look on the bottom.
That bar. Do you see that bar at the bottom?
Yes.
Stop.
Do I just stop? Okay. I'll be right
click on it.
What happens? There you go.
There you go.
You did it.
Okay.
And you can mute it too if you don't want people to hear you go, oh my God, what's burning? Like me. Like, I'm just saying, it's a thing.
It's a choice.
Yeah, choices.
Okay, creating the first forest room.
Oh yeah, let me.
And I will explain what this is because I think I might have some people who are new to like my sprints and whatnot.
Oh.
Did I type that correctly first? Okay. So, my name is Sarah Hoffman. I'm the self-published author of 6 books, a young adult paranormal romance trilogy, and a new adult sci-fi romance trilogy. And for my writing sprints, I like to use the Forest app, which has this icon, the green one. It's not Flora, which is another similar looking app in the App Store, but it's literally just called Forest. And then you open it, and if you have the paid version, you can turn on Plan Together mode, turn it on, turn off deep focus mode so you don't kill the tree and the app will out you to everyone else in the room with you. You click join room. You enter the code that I give at the bottom of the screen at the start of every sprint. You don't touch your phone during that time, so you're not the one to kill the tree for everyone. And then at the end, you click the little arrow in the top left corner that gets you out of the planting room. You have the tree, and you're free to enter another room code and rinse and repeat. And then, if you want to use the app on your own, you turn off Plant Together feature when my live stream is done. So the code is 37 Foxtrot Victor Sierra Bravo Juliet Sierra Golf.
It looks like a strawberry Jello mold with a gift card stuck in it.
Yes, I picked it.
They call it strawberry chiffon cake.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I know it will. It will expand afterwards into the real tree. But right now, that collapsed version's like that looks like a Jello mold with. Why does it have?
No, that is the full tree.
Yeah, that's the full. It's a piece of cake.
Yeah.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Tom's very sleepy today.
I know. I'm like, Tom, you've seen your sister pick this tree on streams before.
And now you know why he was like, I am not safe to drive. I'm going home.
Woo.
Even naps are not reviving me today.
That's okay. I feel that. Because when I was reading that code, I was like, oof, the letters feel like they are moving, and I just woke up from a nap. So, yes. So sorry. I was setting timers for Kate's Twitch stream earlier, and I was like, nope, we do 25 minutes on my channel now in the new year.
Okay, because the room. Oh, no,
it's updated.
Okay, because I was like,
yeah,
20.
I know. That's why I was saying.
Yeah, I was like, oh, are we doing different? Okay.
Yeah.
Maggie agrees with you, Tom.
Yeah,
I am working on my dystopian romance, but I'm still working on the outline. And yes, yesterday on Glory's stream, she was like, "Oh, I've tested this on humans, so I know it works." So I was like, if I said that about anything in my current work in progress, I'd be locked up for crimes against humanity. So clearly, that I'm being like evil author still instead of, the fun one. I'm the one that the meme is like when authors kill characters. Do they cry or do they laugh and have tea with Satan?
Oh, I cry. Like I have a mourning veil and I hold a little like funeral and everything by myself. I'm like, they lived such a good life.
I mean, normally by the time that I've decided to kill a character, I'm like, yeah, whatever. You like served your purpose. But in my new adult sci-fi trilogy, I was like, do I kill you or do I kill you? And so I like kept going back and forth. And I was like, I can't get emotionally attached to either of you. So I know which one of you is like just being raised to slaughter for the purpose of the story.
I can mostly tell because Glory has a playlist specifically for So I Killed a Character. Oh. That if I see it playing, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like I'm previewing possible funeral music. It may or may not be based on what I actually had played at my mother's funeral. I'm just like, so, oh yeah, everybody sang along and then cried, wept openly at her funeral. I did a great job. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, everyone was fine.
Everyone was fine until Rainbow Connection started, and the entire room started singing in unison Rainbow Connection. And by the end, just openly weeping Niagara Falls.
Oh no, that didn't get everyone. That got a good amount.
After hearing that song, let's be honest.
What got everyone was when I think it was what the chicks started singing "Landslide."
No, it wasn't Landslide. It was that song "To the Top of the World." Yeah, that's what like everybody lost.
And then everyone else.
It was an accident. The funeral director got the song play out wrong, but hey, I was like, yeah, tears.
See, it says elbow cough. I am not enacting it again, like I did on Barrett's channel. And I'm not saying which stream because I've been on a lot of streams of his recently. And if you want to go find it, you can watch all his stuff. I'm not giving Grayson another chance to screen cap it and then embarrass me by posting it to Instagram. No. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm not that.
Oh dear. The drama. Okay.
No, it's like when I'm subscribed, I'm like,
yeah, I remember that post.
Goes away. Okay, we're going to start our first sprint. Once I put the timer up. And in 3, 2, 1, happy productivity. And if that means getting yourself a drink of water and staring blankly into space, because that's what you need right now, that's cool. How did everyone do?
I outlined 2 scenes.
Woo!
I typed up some of the notes that I had written a couple of days ago. Couldn't read my own handwriting.
I saw you say that in the chat.
I was like, what is this word?
Did context help you, or were you like, I still have no idea?
Oh, no, I figured it out, but it took a minute.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, awkward siblings?
I crocheted the other one for Chandra's fingerless gloves. So.
Woo!
Mm-hmm.
Pretty.
Pretty.
So I'm gonna finish them probably on Coffee Buddy on Thursday, and then they will get mailed along with everyone else's that I also need to sew and finish.
Yes.
A lot of author tubers are getting fingerless gloves this January. Tom, you're muted.
I started describing in rhyme a dinner table argument. The rolls are flying. It's a battlefield. The dinner plates are now my war shield.
We've been talking about this scene for like what, 12 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah, because it's based on real life experiences with family at dinner.
Oh no, I'm sure. I am sure. I outlined 3 chapters, and I've written my character into a corner, and now I need to figure out how to get her out because I was like, this needs to happen, but then this other stuff needs to happen. And so that's my next sprint. Gonna be figuring that out. But I saw people come in through the chat. So Spence came in. Hello. Crow came in. Have people found the hair dryer yet? I'm kind of surprised it looks purple, but at least you don't look like Carrie. So there's that, because she's dyeing her hair red. And
Hello,
yeah, this is the when you can't see your own can't read your own handwriting. Eva came in, Isabella came in, and then was asking, does anyone know free websites or apps that help with plotting? Some people mentioned Plotter. Grayson really likes it, apparently. I use Scrivener, and that's not free, obviously. So there is Campfire, which I put in the chat because they now have all these things where it's like, it's basically free unless you decide to pay for things. And I paid for some of the modules just for like lifetime, the world building ones, not all of them, because they discontinued Campfire Pro, which was the downloadable online version on your website, on your computer. So yeah, but Kate had been doing a bunch of Campfire Pro like sponsorships on her channel, and then they pretty soon after that they switched over to Campfire Writing, and I was like, great. But it is good. And then can never read handwriting either. Not the dinner roll. Just got more of this cast entered into the family tree. Cool. Eva's playing around on Ancestry. Yeah. Jesse is here. Have so many words to write tonight. I just saw your post about the Devil's Waltz. It's coming in fall. But for those of you who don't know that, I actually found kind of AuthorTube back in 2014, 2015, whenever Jessie started her channel, because we were like critique partners on my first story and then her story, which she hasn't published yet because she then went on to do the Twisted series and then Charlie Travesty, which she recently announced is not being continued, which but also understandable. And then she has her pen name or whatever, and she does all this stuff or whatever. But I've been waiting years for this story to go out into the world so I can talk about it. And she's rewriting it for a different age category, and she recently posted on Instagram like, "Oh, coming here," and I was like, "Oh, finally!" So I'm very excited for that. But I wasn't regularly watching Author2 back then. I was basically just watching her channel, and then when the pancake hit and I was seeing that all these people had already been friends, I was like, oh yeah, they were all at Jesse's Wonder Writers retreat thing. I forgot that was a thing. So I didn't forget that. Yeah, you know what I mean. Okay. I just lost where I was in the comments. 7:45, awesome.
Wonderful.
Spartan Chimera just got trapped in the labyrinth with the Minotaur royals are chasing the Greeks through the maze like prey. I would love to see that in a film and read it in a book and see it in a film because I have aphantasia, so they're going to both activate different parts of my brain, but entertain me. And yeah, that's awesome. But I would definitely not want to be one of those characters.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I was one of the royals. Don't put me in a maze.
I always love the part where most people really confuse what is a labyrinth, which is the whole point of labyrinth. Yeah, the whole point of the labyrinth is there's literally only one route through it.
Yeah.
So you have to deal with whatever is coming after you from the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be herded through it. So you have to interact with what's in the center or wherever you're being pushed to.
I think people also mix it up because when we hear labyrinth, we're so used to the ones in fantasy things that look like a maze, but because they're magical, they in effect are a labyrinth because they close off where else you could go. Or the dead ends are on purpose to waste the character's time type of thing before they again have to face whatever's in their way. So it's I think that's why there's the disconnect, but I do understand.
Yeah.
Awesome. Vampire Christmas romance.
Project VCR.
Sam got 601. That's
excellent.
Awesome. K-pop photo cards, trying to collect a member of Kep. I'm assuming you pronounce it as Kepler, but it's stylized that way. Yeah. I'm so excited. I didn't know you had aphantasia. I only found. Yeah, no, I've been talking about it for the past year and a half. If you go back in my live streams or when I'm in chat or things like that. I mentioned it actually quite a lot.
I know it's right there with not having an inner voice.
I saw a TikTok from this person. I can't remember their username because I only recently found them. But they have ADHD, they have dyslexia, and autism. And do they have something else? I don't remember. But anyway, they made a video about they played 3 different people, and it's there are people who think visually, obviously not me. There are people who think verbally, definitely me. And then it's and then people who have dyslexia, they have a 3D thing. And I'm like, wait, what? And that was the whole point of the TikTok. But I was just the way people think.
Oh, I think literally
Some
conceptually.
People think physically. So they need to physically walk through a memory to be able to tell it to you. We're trained in education to do part of our lesson plans to help those students who need that physicality to learn.
Kinetic learner.
Yep.
I am a kinetic learner, but I'm so behind on listening to the Popcast, which is Popcorn Culture by the Super Carlin brothers. Jay and Ben Carlin. I almost said it, Ben and Jay, because he's the one who hosts as most of the time because of the way that their Patreon is set up. But they were talking about them and their wives think differently. Like Ben has an inner monologue and his wife Alice doesn't at all. And so they were talking about that. So yeah. I had that a few nights ago, and reading this, I want it again, but I have to have dinner after the stream because otherwise I'm just wasting money. And that's not good. And it's a good meal that I have from HelloFresh, so I'm gonna.
Tikka masala is pretty easy to make at home.
Yeah, I just don't have the ingredients for that. So like ordering it in when I have the ingredients to make another good, delicious meal is.
Am I gonna have to send you a spice care package?
I mean, I'll take it. I'm not gonna say no. Just don't put anything with any type of nuts, because then your gift to me will be a trip to the emergency room.
What are you allergic to?
Yeah.
What is it? No, I missed it. That one word.
Tree nuts.
All nuts.
Almonds.
No, all nuts.
So like legumes as well, like peanuts, sesame seeds.
Almonds. What's the one in pesto? Pine nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all confirmed. And then hazelnut. And I think those are the ones that are confirmed. And anything else, I was like, I really don't feel like testing it out.
Yeah, at a certain point, you're like, nah, who cares? Yeah.
It's like, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, like most of the spice blends, like at our little Indian grocery, they don't have nuts in them at all. They're just literally cumin, turmeric, the things.
Yeah, no, I love those. But
we're really going to have to. Yeah, Gloria, we're really going to have to find a way to source like some really low cost spice containers.
Yeah, that's because like
I've already your spice club as you're slowly starting up.
So
the first one is Ceylon cinnamon.
Yeah, like I've been sending care packages to folks, and like here's a little container of my favorite cinnamon, and that I didn't know people were not being able to get.
I want all of this. I know these are two different meals. I want all of them at the same time.
Yeah, because I didn't want sweet and sour chicken.
Like, I don't gonna say anything. I'm just gonna be.
Yeah, I didn't want sweet and sour chicken, and my daughter can't eat shrimp, so.
Kind of a rough household, yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of two different meals a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but it all sounds delicious.
Yes, I agree.
I'm sorry you have double work, but I'm like, oof, that menu though.
Yeah, last night we had red beef curry with potatoes.
Yeah, red curry beef.
And it was delicious, if a little spicy, because I diced the ginger, so it was, edible. And
there's very gingery.
It's spicier than I expected.
Mm-hmm. It was delicious, though.
And
then I just realized, thinking about it, I forgot the cilantro.
I know. I wasn't feeling that well yesterday by the end of the day, so I wasn't going to say anything. But the potatoes are really great in that wonderful sauce. It had Rotel in it as well.
I am setting up the next forest room.
Now I want some curry chicken.
Yes. I concur. Curry is good for you. It's good for your gut and your heart.
Did you almost just say I concur?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then cut yourself off? You should have gone through with it. You don't back out on such a perfect pun.
What is the code? So busy to me.
I was reminded though last night making it because I'd had the beef for about a week.
Mm-hmm.
That really salting any meat you're going to cook with at least 24 hours, if not 3 days, really helps it retain its moisture and flavor, and also just be a bit softer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a really neat trick.
See, I would do that, but if there's like salt added to anything in like so in HelloFresh they're almost always like add butter, add salt, and they're like add salt to every single step. I'm like, I'm not gonna add salt to any step and it is still flavorful enough for me, and salt triggers my migraine, so I'm like, because I would like my meat to be, you know, all what you just said, but I'm afraid that if I did that, it would then.
He says that, but he also had fresh cracked black pepper that he embedded in both all the surfaces of the beef, and so it sat in the fridge in a zip top bag in the coldest part with a bit of salt and a whole lot of cracked black pepper.
I have no doubt that it would be amazing, like taste amazing, but I'm just like, if I'm cooking for myself, I feel like because I don't love those ingredients and one actually is problematic for me, I'm worried that like while it would give me the benefits of it tasting better, it would still F me up because adding salt to something.
Well, that's one thing, like I don't think that the only benefits were from the salt. I think also the cracked black pepper also helped to soften the meat as well as bring out the meat's natural flavors.
Also,
it had a lovely beef flavor.
Given a few days, it's not salt on the surface. It's not salt that actually interacts with your tongue. It actually does some things with the proteins in the meat,
down.
and that also allows it to hold more moisture and not dry out as quick. Of like, no, it actually does some chemical stuff. It's not. You won't notice. That's the whole point of like you give it time, because yeah, if you put salt on something right before you cook it, it stays on the surface. It's salty.
My cousin wrote an article for Huffington Post all about salt, so I'm just dropping it in the chat. My cousin, if I went through the entire branch of what my cousins have done, you'd be like, and they're all in your family that's otherwise basically all lawyers. I'd be like, yep. Because that branch has the grandfather who passed away 2 years ago, and his two sons, all toy makers. And then one of those sons, his two sons, one is a butcher. The other one could be if he wanted to, but isn't. And they just do like a million things. And I'm like...
Also, don't forget, like, what is being a lawyer, but, you know, essentially you're a paid writer for legal. That's what really being a lawyer is most of the time. It's just, do you want to get paid for your nonfiction writing?
Well, I mean, the lawyers in my family, they all go after correcting. So anytime there's something in the New York Times, I'm like, do I read it or do I just ask my cousin? It's like the one time I pick a phone call over like text or reading by myself as an introvert. I'm like, you could make this more interesting with your storytelling than me having to read like 5 op-eds to get to everything.
Yeah, what is the real dish?
Yeah, so Maggie, the thing about pesto, so I first found out that I had a nut allergy because I was at a Broadway show and someone was eating peanut butter or peanut M&Ms. I don't even remember if it was like the peanut butter M&M ones. And they were like a few seats away and I just like couldn't breathe. And when they got up and when they walked away during intermission to throw out their thing and I saw the package, and then it happened again in a movie theater. So I was like, okay, clearly peanuts don't like me. And then I was visiting my cousins, one upstate, not the toy making and butcher and salt food science people, cousins, upstate, and one of them was eating chocolate covered almonds in like the car and the windows were up and I suddenly couldn't breathe and I didn't know. So it's like I would have the reaction before knowing, but then finding out that nuts were in my vicinity. And then same cousins later, much later, like 3 years later, I was going to have pesto. And at this point, I knew that I was avoiding nuts, even though my allergy test was like, yeah, we did a whole skin test for you. And it says you're not allergic to nuts, but given you can't breathe when you've had Nutella, accidentally had Thai food with, nuts, obviously. Peanut oil. Like I always ask for no nuts, but I just didn't eat them anyway. but yeah, so then I told the whole family that I can't do anything with nuts, and they still made pesto because they didn't think it would be a problem, even though I told them it was airborne. I had to take Benadryl pills, and even though like I couldn't sit in the other side of the first floor because then I'd be so far away from them. And my mom was like, "Well, what do you want me to do?" And I was like, "Well, they made me like a version that wasn't with it, but just being in the same space affected me." So yeah, it's a really serious thing, and it's not backed by like an allergy test. But my allergist was like, "If you're okay with cutting shit out of your diet, just then we don't need a test to confirm that if you're having this reaction left and right."
Mm-hmm.
In a non-psychosomatic way. So
It's a rough life to like have, serious allergies to things like where if it's airborne.
Yeah.
Breathing's important.
I had no idea.
Isn't it just
a little bit?
You think, I can take it or leave it, and then you're like, never mind. I can't believe I said that.
But I also have this thing where like I can't fully inhale without it hurting, and the doctor didn't know why. I was like, can doctors stop telling me we don't know why you have this thing, and like it seems like you've managed fine up until this point. I was like, that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is, can we get rid of the thing? Like I can manage. That's the story of my life. I'd like to know if there's a way to end some of these types of suffering. But nah. Espressos where salt shines went no. I don't. The most caffeine that I drink is this Great Value caffeine thing that Kelly Wright, my co-creator and co-host on the Writers Podcast, got me addicted to. And she's like, "Oh yeah, they have a non-caffeinated version." I was like, "Well, you didn't tell me that before I bought the caffeinated version in bulk." I had a minor caffeine addiction and then cut it back real fast because I can't live that way.
Grayson always makes me want to go brew a cup of coffee.
But yeah, they're all doing the same chemical trick.
Mm-hmm. So, like, if you have a salt sensitivity or you're trying to cut back on your salt, you could use eggshells instead. Or like for whatever the reason, because I would not recommend table salt, which tends to be iodized. Yeah. You will get that flavor, that odd flavor of iodine in your coffee, which most people are not into that. And so you could use a pinch of baking soda instead.
I don't remember what it's called, but I'm pretty sure it was Brie Bonomo in one of her vlogs. She had like this super fancy dancy coffee machine that was like is also an espresso machine. I looked up the price and I was like, oof. But like it looked really, really cool. So
Laura and I still have dreams of a super espresso machine.
The one I have was $300. So
I don't. Yeah, the
that was a gift, so I didn't buy it.
Like this thing was.
I just have a regular coffee pot.
I have a single cup Keurig thing because my mom got a new one and she's like, when I come and visit or when you have guests over at your place, you can use it. And I'm like, well, they're going to have to bring their own coffee pods because I'm not stocking that in my place when they're just going to sit in a counter. But I do have some hot chocolate pods that like when I'm really lazy. But I also have like the Swiss Miss packets and things like that. And I have I wanted to say water heater, which is like true, but it sounds like something for like the apartment. And I mean more like electric kettle. There we go. I have one of those for like.
Oh, for the tea?
Yeah. But it's just hot water. So like I can use it for my hot chocolate too.
Yeah, I just use a whistling microwave kettle for my water. It whistles at me to tell me when it's done. That's what I'm doing.
I got the water thing when I finally transferred to NYU because my roommate who is from China, we were making tea left and right. So we were just like, because when we were first together, we were in a dorm where like there was an oven and a stove in the main area, and none of us trusted it to like.
Probably best.
Right. And then our second year together, we had our own place where like there was an actual kitchen and we had single rooms. So we could have used a traditional kettle, but our schedules were crazy. And we were just like, we're just going to get one that plugs in and we don't have to worry about as much. I mean, we weren't irresponsible and like leaving it on overnight and things like that.
Yeah, I've got one of those little sit on the cup. I learned how to do that at boarding school, and I still like it.
Okay, I don't know what an Aldi is.
It's a
grocery store chain.
A budget friendly grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
Straight from Germany.
That sells more than groceries.
We have, I think my mom has some. She has a few K-Cup reusables because she found some teas that like loose leaf teas that she really liked. But I have a Teavana mug where it's glass, but then it has like a steeper in it that you can obviously take in and out. But I just put my loose teeth in there. Okay, we're doing our next sprint. If any of my co-hosts, because it's just 2 hours to get all 4 sprints in, need to dip early, just let me know in the private chat and I'll make space for you to do an outro. But when I do my night streams with Gloria and Tom, I'm like, it's always going to go longer than the planned 2 hours, and I'm okay with that. So, but yeah. Okay. The people have been in the room for like forever, so I'm not playing the code back up. And we are going to start in 3, 2, 1. Happy productivity, everyone. If it's afternoon for you, I recommend you don't drink caffeine because it messes with your sleep cycle.
Well, how'd it go?
I'm having an important phone conversation with my mom, so y'all can just chat without
We'll
me.
discuss amongst ourselves.
Okay.
A flying buttress is neither flying nor a butt. Discuss. Why, yes, I am a child of the 80s. Thank you for noticing.
Let's see. I got a couple more scenes outlined.
Ooh, very nice.
Having a lot of ideas about this book, so I'm excited.
Yeah, that's the best place to be.
Oh, I wish I was on the outlining part.
What part are you on?
I'm brainstorming because this is the fourth book in my series, but I took a break from the third book and I forgot that I needed to refresh my memory on exactly what all was happening. So yeah, I'm brainstorming ideas now for the angle for this book.
Okay.
That's good, though. You know, process, right?
I'm supposed to be outlining this month.
I know, because I can hear him down the hall.
I was just thinking of, that just reminds me of every writer's dream of that Terry Pratchett had.
Which?
His superfan was his postal delivery guy.
Oh, the one who organized all of his writings into one cohesive universe.
And had note cards for everything.
Okay. Yes.
So Terry would just ask him.
Yes.
And then he retired from being a postal worker because Terry's like, I can employ you. It's like, yeah, I'll do that. Because these stories sometimes, especially after the second book, it's like it's hard to remember all the elements and loose ends and everything going on.
Yeah. I honestly listened to the Encanto soundtrack.
Ooh, that's a good use of time.
The rhythm called me. You get it.
I just saw that movie for the first time the other day on Saturday.
It's so good.
And I now have the soundtrack on my playlist.
Yes, it's so good. So
apparently, the director has his own YouTube channel.
Oh, I did not know that.
So he's been posting up like, here's the deleted scenes.
Ooh.
Here's the featurettes.
Yes.
So I was about to send you that.
We don't talk about Bruno.
No.
Oh, no.
And at least it finally has an explanation to me, because I thought at first that Bruno was referencing Luca.
Oh yeah,
because there's a Bruno in that too.
And then I saw like this guy, his YouTube page is Mr. Lucas, and he's got a picture of Luca. So some common
I had watched
people
Luca right before I watched Encanto, so I'm like, oh, 2 Brunos.
We got plenty. Yesterday, one of my friends sent me a link to this. This woman made a series of TikToks, but she also posted them on YouTube, so I could just watch them there. And it's essentially Dolores every morning listening to the Rat telenovela and during breakfast, and it's fantastic. Oh, the drama. I am loving everything that people are making, like in reference to Encanto. Like, it's fantastic.
It's such a good movie.
Yes, and it's so
I
pretty.
Like how it doesn't.
All the songs.
I like how it doesn't have a villain.
Yes,
there's no real villain, and I like that.
Yeah. I like that. I like that nobody's the bad guy. It's just a family trying to work out their problems. And it gets messy, real messy. Like, break down the, everything messy. I like that.
I'd say the villain is
down the house
miscommunication.
Yeah.
The house already be messy. Before Mirabelle was born, the house be messy. I said it.
I didn't like the way they treated her just because she didn't have a gift. But that's not right.
The family was not doing well from before she showed up. Like, how were they treating Bruno this whole time?
Yeah.
He's just dropping truth. Like,
but Bruno had a gift though. They just didn't like the way his gift worked.
Exactly, but that wasn't his fault. It was a gift, like God forbid somebody tell you the truth about what's going on.
Yeah.
Right?
Also, some of it, let's be honest, like there was no cloud in the sky on her wedding day. She's followed by rain clouds.
Exactly. That's her fault. It's not his fault.
Like, how much is this just like coloring a person versus, maybe Bruno, you could have just not said anything in this moment. Like, I think it's more like he couldn't have said anything because anything he said would have been taken the wrong way.
I heard though in a TikTok that like people should be asking her why there's a rain cloud over, like what's making her feel shitty that it's like happening.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I don't think blame her for shitty weather. Like maybe be like, hey, what's
because all of them? I think it's because all of them sensed that the magic was in danger, so they always had this doom of when is the magic gonna fail them or whatever, and that I think that's why the cloud was.
Well, that is the real story going on, is the long-term effects of generational trauma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was what the entire TikTok was about, and it was about how each, like in a toxic family, what each character's role was, and they only got through like half the characters. So I'm waiting for part 2 of that.
Yeah, I normally don't condone a child telling her elders off, but when she told Abuela off, I was like, "You go."
Abuela had it coming.
Hey, Glory, Encanto's in Colombia, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what's supposed to take place.
People were really mad about the scene in Black Panther when T'Challa like yells at his dad.
Oh.
And they were talking about like the cultural thing where it's like in America you'd be like, America as if we're a monolith, which
right.
Yeah.
Like it's acceptable and you're like, yeah, go T'Challa. And then like you're like, oh, you don't do that to an elder. Like I'm somewhere in the middle. Like I think that his frustration
I know
in the culture of like what I would feel like based how do I say this? The cultures that Wakanda is based on, therefore Wakanda should not have had that in Black Panther.
Mm-hmm. I think though, like often, sometimes what's really going on is sometimes you need to tell the truth even when you have to cross those etiquette lines. Some truths are just too important to be polite.
Oh, I agree. I think in that instance, though, people were asking that it have been done in a more respectful way because that's also would have been more in like it would have been in character for T'Challa to be calm and collected and still basically say like this was wrong instead of like shouting you were wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
whereas in Encanto it's like, oh no, like go for it.
I think like for T'Challa the character's culture, like he was truly crossing major lines
right
of his upbringing, and I don't think that they really gave enough credence to that of like here he is having a truly emotional outburst because he is so emotionally overwhelmed with everything that has happened recently, and they didn't really like touch on it other like this whole well we show we don't tell, and it's like maybe sometimes you could just tell a little bit.
I think also though with the whole isolationist argument and him obviously not following Killmonger's plan, but like I think that was also showing that he's obviously crossing like cultural lines, but I just think that in that moment it could have been, and what people were asking for was done in a way that like kind of got both things done instead of just picking one.
But have we not all had that moment? Have we not all had that moment where we had an outburst at our parents or an elder, and then thought about it like the second after the words left our mouth, and like, oh, I might die.
Yeah. I'd say like the thought you have right afterwards is all right. Which is worse,
right?
If I avoid this smack, or if I let them smack me.
Like, will my mother annihilate me with her hand right this second? And instead, like when, I like my outburst, I definitely had a really over the top outburst once at my mother. We were both, I was in my 20s when this happened. And it was in a hallway. So we both kind of felt a little trapped in that moment. It was not good. This was like Glory picking the most wrong possible moment to do it. And I was so sure that my 4'8" mother was about to just smack me into the ground. And I looked at her like, oh, is this about to happen? And she did not. She instead actually heard what I was trying to say, even though the tone was terrible. And really understood the spirit of and that was like a shock, because normally my mother just didn't never listen at all.
The thing about in my family is that like they say that you can have whatever emotion and like express it, and the truth is not really. So what my unhealthy maladaptive choice was always to do was to not do it until they pushed me to be like, what is this? And then I'd be like, what's wrong or something. And then like, instead of, what would happen is that like I would start crying, so they would never like want to send me down to visit the fiery pits of hell. Not visit, just you're moving there.
Right.
So it's not healthy. And like now that I've been setting boundaries and stuff, and when people do something wrong, calling them out for it, they're all like, and I'm like, you taught me that this was okay, and I'm happy to call you out as all being hypocrites now if you'd like, So I've never had that outburst in a way where it's like I'm all attack. So I've never been in the situation where I could be sent to hell, because I'm so scared of that if I were to be the one to start the conversation, if that makes sense. So it's like I've avoided them being able to attack me, but at the expense of my mental health for a very long time. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying do what I do at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then one outburst I had with my mother. Well, my mother was abusive, so to be fair, it wasn't that it wasn't deserved. I just knew better. And I had my outburst, exactly. And I was like, "Ooh, I'm sorry."
It's like, I'm not sorry because this needed to be said, but I'm sorry because I really don't want to pay for this.
Right.
Well, I was sorry for the disrespect, because she's still my mother, regardless of whatever. She's still my mom. So that level of respect.
I don't subscribe to that.
I don't either. So I'm just like,
like
well, I mean, I understand.
Because people don't just deserve respect because of their title.
I get you, JC. I really do. Like, I understand.
I get what you're saying, and I know a lot of people believe that. But like me,
well, because in fairness, in fairness, I know now as an adult, that she was only doing what she was taught, generational curses and all of that. But then it didn't dawn on me like, well, you didn't like it when it was done to you. Why would you turn around and do it to your children? But she did raise me. She was a single mom. She was a single mom. She, worked 2 and 3 jobs. So I still have a level of respect for her, because we wouldn't have survived.
You respect someone for things, but I don't think that anyone automatically deserves your respect.
Especially if they are not doing anything worthy of being respected. Like if they're actually disrespecting you, and then you have to show respect, like, oh, they're your mom, or oh, they're your dad, or that's just.
And also like having to unconditionally like love people in your family because they're family. It's like, look, I can be polite, like you don't have to be rude about it, but I choose to not include you in my life.
I'll say, what was the line, Glory, of, "Oh, I love you unconditionally, but I don't like you."
I don't have to like you. You don't have to earn my life.
That part.
Oh, let me tell you, my mom.
I've overextended myself too much with even that mentality, that I'm like, in the past year, I was like, nope, like I will be polite to you and I will have zero expectation of having an enjoyable interaction with you, like because you've disappointed me on a consistent basis in the past years, that like I've stopped hoping for better from you. But
Right.
it's like, yeah, you're still my family, and assuming you haven't done something absolutely awful, I'm not gonna like completely write you off in my mind and completely exclude you from my life, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to
Include you either.
include you, to, you know, help you, like offer to help you in ways that I might have wanted to in the past. It's like I don't owe you anything because you're my family.
Right. I wish I had gotten to that place a lot younger. When you're good. You're ahead of the game.
I think it's just
'Cause,
because like my
yeah.
trauma was so front loaded, and I then like had the epiphany where my therapist was like, yeah, this was all compounded. There's like all of it was bad, but all together, like I'm surprised you didn't reach your breaking point sooner. And I'm like, well, now that I'm here,
might as well let it all out.
Mm-hmm.
The hardest thing is to forgive someone who doesn't think they have a reason to be forgiven.
Oh goodness.
yeah.
Where is it again? All right, there we go.
To forgive someone who
that's
hasn't
right.
said they were sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because my
Mhm.
mother still doesn't think that she ever did anything wrong
no,
for me. I'm like,
Absolutely.
physical and emotional and mental abuse, and you don't think you did anything wrong, but okay.
Ooh, perfect is forgiven snow. You know? Yeah.
I think also the cognitive dissonance in my family is like frustrating, because my grandma who was the matriarch of the family when she died, like it clearly, people like won't admit that like we fell apart at all. And I'm not saying like we completely cracked, although in some ways I do think we did, and no one's ever going to admit that. But like it was the glue, and we all started splintering in certain ways that revealed some of the less good traits, or highlighted some of the less good traits of people. But it's like she was all for like, as long as you're clear in your communication and you're not malicious, you can say if there's a problem. And then other people in my family don't have that maturity. And in our family also, we have this not codependence, but when people are like, oh, you're a legal adult, you don't have to like listen to your parents anymore. It's like we don't have that in my family. It's like you can do what you want, but if you ask your parents advice and they tell you something and you go against it, like there's like and it's like, but you're an adult and you're not being ordered to do something. And even if you were, it's like realistically, you're an adult. And now everyone who is an adult who obviously like still has a parent that's alive and could tell them something, like I was the last person who was still living with my parent.
Mhm.
And now that I have that separation, like I think we're all better off for it, but we don't have that like, oh, you're 18, so now you actually can't shame me for my choices.
No.
Like that differentiation doesn't exist in our family. And people shouldn't be shamed for their choices anyway. But yeah, that like cutoff doesn't exist in my family. Oh, I hate this so much. I'm sorry you overreacted.
It's the if part that I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
Right?
you could have just kept that air in your lungs. You did not need to utter it at all if you're going to put an if in there.
Well, even
Because I
if
made
you
it
have the
clear.
if, and it's like, I'm sorry
did,
you got hurt
transgression.
by my actions. It's like, shove that apology. Like, if you're not going to apologize for your part in it, save your breath. Or don't, because if you run out of breath sooner, then your toxicity will leave the planet sooner. So
True.
that ties them in salt. Be gone, demon.
I have seen people, at least back in the 90s, take out their little spray bottle of breath freshener of, what was it, Banaka?
It was
And
Banaka.
spritz people.
Yes. North Mississippi was wild in the 90s, y'all. It was a wild place. Just spraying people with Banaka like, demon, be gone.
I also, speaking of the, what was the I was just kidding? I saw some meme describe it as Schrodinger's asshole.
Yeah.
Of they'll
I've seen that.
they'll only say that after like, oh, I shouldn't, I crossed a line. I was just kidding. Like, no, you weren't.
That is not what kidding sounds like.
There
You
was
understood the nature of comedy.
I've like seen it in shows and in books and then in real life where it's like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. It's like, but you meant it, which is the problem.
Right.
Like, not that you have this opinion, like anyone can have their opinion, but when you say it or you enact it, it's like, do I really care that you're a homophobic asshole? Not really, because I don't have to interact with you. But then when you vote for people who
will endanger my life,
other people, even if it's not directly me, then it's like, then we have the problem. Like, you could be the biggest asshole up here, and as long as it doesn't enter the public space, I don't care. I don't care. But the moment you do harm with it,
I would say I missed the point when the culture changed, where everyone suddenly started believing that we all had a right to an opinion without consequence.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, everyone has an opinion, but there's a consequence to it. That's why, as someone put, that's why retail workers keep their mouth shut.
Freedom of speech. First of all, there's a limit on that if you've actually read the Constitution.
Yeah.
Second of all,
that's from the government.
Yeah.
Not from other people.
Exactly. And it's like private companies. They can. We don't want you associated with our brand. So you know what? We're going to drop you. It also might have been in your contract. So, maybe don't just accept terms and conditions when it comes to your livelihood.
I cackle whenever I see someone talk about some article talk about, oh, this modern cancel culture. And it's like, you don't know any history, do you? There's literally a famous story of Isaac Newton using his power to cancel his competition in academic circles.
Yes.
Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah.
John Adams.
There has never been a time in human history, and I am going all the way back to pyramids and before, where we as human beings have not canceled other human beings.
And
it's often had more deadly
pharaohs like reign, which was like the longest period without a war or something, got basically demolished by her, like the male region or whatever that she was ruling in. Instead of like the moment he like took power, is like, I'm erasing her from history, which is not cancel culture, but people eradicating people for things that they don't like has always been around. People just
always
can do it faster now and reach a wider audience.
I mean, here's my favorite fallacy I ever hear about, which is sub-Saharan Africa doesn't have any real history. And it's like, it did. Colonizers literally went through and burned all records. History. So we couldn't track it down anymore. It's not that it didn't have it. It's just, it was removed.
Like, the Red Scare and like people being, and a lot of gay people throwing other people under the bus so that they wouldn't be like ousted or whatever, really toxic and really unfortunate and whatever. Predators being exposed as predators, even if they're at the head of their industry, especially if they're at the head of their industry and then their industry being like, you're out. Okay, maybe they are being canceled, but that's justified and long overdue justice. So like, if someone has done something bad and then they're exposed for it and then there are ramifications, I'm like, okay, fine, call cancel culture. if you want, but I'm not going to be mad at it. Versus when you have someone who like, it's an allegation, I'm like, I will cancel them if there is proof. But I'm also not going to immediately be like, oh, someone tweeted this, so therefore we cancel them. But when you have a woman accusing someone of violence, and I'm not going to say anything more because I don't feel like slapping a trigger warning onto this live stream, then you believe the person. You don't immediately go to, oh, they're lying for attention or money. But you also don't, how do I say this? Like, the person should face consequences, but if someone like did one wrong thing, I'm not necessarily saying you read them to absolute filth unless the like one wrong thing is, oh, I don't know, a mass shooting. Then I'm like, I don't care if that was like their one wrong thing. You're done.
It's rarely ever the one thing.
We're gonna return to them, I promise.
It's an entire, series of things where they kept making mistakes, they kept saying really bad things, and then doing things, and it escalates again and again because they're just going to keep going until they're stopped.
If they're stopped.
I mean, people talk about cancel culture. I think the thing is that unlike in the past, people now are just, they're canceled versus far more extreme consequences in the past, such as even with McCarthyism, where people were deprived of any ability to make a livelihood and were shunned by their whole towns and unable to find housing. Like that, I mean, like, when we talk about cancel culture, the 1800s in the West was running someone out on a rail. That is not a metaphor. That is a terrible thing to do to a person. I'm not saying that some of them did not deserve some sort of justice, but nevertheless, riding someone out on a rail is bad versus cancel culture where we're just not going to listen to you anymore. We're going to unfollow you. We're going to ignore you because we do not want anything to do with you and your violence or your negativity. That is a light consequence considering what even just a few decades ago, consequences, when there were consequences, what they were, which were quite so much more extreme. So I'm like, why is anybody complaining about cancel culture? This seems quite humane compared to in my mother's lifetime consequences.
I agree. There was something I wanted to add, and so family friend who like I love and is great or whatever was arguing about like, oh, if someone did something that's now not okay, but it was okay back then. I was like, that doesn't change the fact that the action isn't okay. It just means that society was more accepting of it back then. Or they silently like disapproved, but like didn't actually do anything with it like they should have, and like we do now or something. It's like context doesn't change a bad thing being bad.
But that's why Golden Girls is still okay versus so many shows no one talks about because they're all problematic or just blatantly don't do that now. That's an awful thing to do to begin with.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to start in less than a minute at this point, probably, like at the top of the hour. Yes. It's like trying to kill what you perceive to be the ruling class because they've oppressed you is still genocide. Okay. In 3, 2, 1. Happy productivity. If anyone wants to put that social justice angst into their stories, feel free. Hope we didn't depress you permanently for the night. Just channel it. Or listen to today's Write-ish episode, which talks about writing as therapy and whether that can ever become maladaptive. I needed a mental break. Popcorn culture, and it took me a second to pause it. So, yeah. I keep forgetting to put the Ko-fi banners up during the sprints. So, apologies, and I'm putting it up now. There we go. Oh, echo. Someone's playing. Also, I don't know if that's someone's alarm, but bye, Isabella. She already left. That she saw that.
I mean, I can't say anything about needing a break. I may have been watching a featurette on the creation of We Don't Talk About Bruno.
Yes, I was watching that as well.
Love the dancers.
There was a TikTok where someone like dressed up as all of the characters and had a perfect instinct.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like A+. Then I saw someone else. I saw some other people doing things like off sync, or like when your first impression of something is perfect with the sound, and then you see another TikTok with the same sound because they're like, "Oh, you like this? Like, let's keep it rolling." And it's so off. I was like, "Yikes!"
I mean, like, that's kind of how I felt just watching that. What was it? Isabel or Dolores? I can't remember which one. Listening to the telenovela.
It's Dolores.
Dolores, of just the. It's so beautifully done. Like, it's just, how is this not canon?
Yes, the rat telenovela.
Sorry. Barrett.
When your mind is truly free and your thumbs agree.
I love that. Okay, this echo's bothering me. I don't know where it's coming from. Is it gone? Okay, JC, I don't know if you have. JC, I don't know if you're watching this on YouTube at the same time.
I am, but it's muted. Like, I mean, I have it on a different screen so I could see some of the comments, but it's muted.
Okay, then what the hell's going on? Because it was fine for like the first half of the stream, and now it's whatever. Okay. I put in the private chat the link to sign up for the first half of my February streams. So, because some people in the public chat have already signed up. So, really bad dad joke.
Goodness.
Yeah, that's a dad joke right there.
Oh, goodness. Now the echo's gone. Nope.
Nope, there it
What was the final? Okay.
promise it's not.
And we're going to start sprinting at the 35-minute mark, which will bring us to a 3-hour-long stream plus outros. So, Whiskey Papa X-Ray Zulu, 3 November Sierra Golf.
Oh, I like that tree.
Yeah. Maggie got over 2,300 for today. Awesome. Regina did some bot bashing in the chat.
Jabri is doing really well.
Yeah.
635.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Two more minutes if anyone else wants to enter the room.
I didn't say what I did on that sprint, but I got to the finale. So,
Whoa! It's exciting.
So, Morgan, are you going to read chapter 2?
huh?
Are you going to read chapter 2?
Oh,
You know,
of
like
my
you did
book?
chapter 1.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what happens in the next chapter.
The only thing is it's in my other character's point of view. So I've been trying to do like my boy voice and it's just not working. But I think I still might read it. Yeah, so I will. Don't know when.
What are you talking about reading?
Oh, I read the first chapter of this one on my channel.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Almost there. Gay marriage has now been around longer than the Confederacy. Grayson, that's why I track my sleep and whether or not I've taken my medication in my bullet journal. Because I don't always know. Okay, final sprint. PSA about the sale going on with my Ko-fi commissions, which are good for people who are indie publishing or are looking to be traditionally published. Doesn't matter. Check that out. And then also in the description box, there is a link to a giveaway that I'm running for 50% off Scrivener codes. In 3, 2, 1. Happy productivity, everyone. This is our final sprint. that was our final sprint.
Yay.
Yay.
I went back to working that time, so that's good. I did not reach the final chapter of the novel for outlining, but I'm like 2 or 3 away, I think. Watch that I write it, and then I'm like, oh, actually, the pacing's wrong. This needs to be a longer chapter, more chapters than just one. But yeah, so close. How did everyone else do?
Good. I got some reading in.
I went and found, the person Isabella mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And just started putting that in the background as I was writing.
Cool.
I did some more notes on the climax and the finale.
Awesome.
I was planning out something. I got distracted. That's what I did.
Fair. Ignore the sounds of my screenshotting my February guest URLs because I need to edit something else in the form. Okay. Do you care about the story or style of a story more?
Story.
I also say story, which is what Barrett picked.
I would say what
is there for
story.
a style? Like
just
Gloria somebody narrating a day?
Yeah, Gloria and I last night were watching that link. I think Laura posted to us about the editing in the Snowman, and one of the things the person who did that video pointed out is because there's such heavy editing problems in the movie, you notice the small storytelling problems even more.
Mm-hmm.
Versus in a good story, plot holes and mistakes and goofs you just sort of let go because it's just how does this relate to the story, and that is all you're focused on. Mm-hmm. Like, you will forgive so much if the story is good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Like, there's a book that I like the story, the writing hurts my soul. I still reread it because I just want to re-experience the story. Okay, we have been going for 3 hours and 4 minutes or 3 hours and 3 minutes because I started a minute late. Let's do outros in alphabetical order again. So Glory, JC, Morgan, and then Tom.
Hi, I'm Glory. My channel on YouTube and on Twitch is Glory Writes the Blues, as well as Instagram. It's all the good things. I write, I do stuff. We do a show every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. And right now we are talking about life skills, every tip, trick, hack, and a special little thing we've ever learned on everything. This upcoming Monday's episode will be all about caring for bodies, your own and others.
On Wednesdays, you also do stuff. Sorry. Your turn, JC.
Sorry. I'm JC. I have a channel. I do a whole hodgepodge of videos. I really should get better at this, but I do have a masterclass video coming out on Thursday. I took Walter Mosley's masterclass, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, that's all I have. I'm going to work on the script, I promise.
All right, so I'm Morgan Lee. My authorship channel is Morgan Lee. I post every Wednesday and Friday with live streams every Monday at 8 a.m. And that's it.
I'm Tom of Tom's Hot Takes. If you've been here throughout the entire set of sprints, you will have noticed I have a lot of opinions. If you enjoy them, show up for, Glory Writes the Blues' Monday show or Wednesdays on Twitch. And, you will hear a lot more of these little thoughts, comments, and occasional snark.
Everyone's Ko-fi link is down below, and from there you can find their other social media, but you should follow them all on Ko-fi. It's for free. If you can financially support them, that's great too. I'm sure they won't say no. But
Definitely
follow
not.
them there so I can pressure people to post more on their pages. And my name is Zara Hoffman. I'm the self-published author of 6 books, a young adult paranormal romance trilogy and a new adult sci-fi romance trilogy. I also offer a lot of services for authors on Ko-fi, regardless of whether you're an indie or going for traditional publishing. And currently I'm running a sale, and in the description down below there is a link to a giveaway for 50% off Scrivener code if you want to get this amazing software. If you don't know how to use it and you're intimidated, I will be making a guide for my Ko-fi page shop soon. And yeah, I am also doing a pre-order on just the keyboard shortcuts for Scrivener. That was posted in my Ko-fi shop yesterday. And I have a guide on how writers can use Ko-fi to succeed. I'm sure Barrett's yelling at me because I'm forgetting something about myself. But yeah, I will be streaming on Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern on my Twitch, which is Zara Hoffman. And I hope to see as many of you there as possible.